Welcome to Real Chat with Kat, the podcast that's all about real conversations for real transformation. I'm your host, Kat Polsinelli, professional speaker, MC, and best-selling international author. Here, we tackle the tough stuff, the mud that we all have found ourselves in. We talk about the pivots, the challenges, and the victories that shape our lives and our businesses. From overcoming trauma and finding your voice to navigating life's unexpected twists, we get raw, honest, and open. You'll hear from inspiring guests who share their stories of resilience, healing, and growth. Whether it's breaking through emotional abuse, embracing self-worth, or thriving in entrepreneurship, you'll find connection, empowerment, and the tools to keep you moving forward. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and get ready for stories that hit home and conversations that make a difference. Let's get real together. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on this episode of Real Chat with Kat. I am so excited to have you here with us today, and I'm really excited to continue this conversation of not only empowerment, but this beautiful journey of someone that I've had the pleasure of knowing for a little while, and seeing where she's been at, what she's doing, and how she is blowing up women in their space. I can't wait to dive into this, you guys. Anyway, Deb, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such an honor. I think that, first of all, the Lotus effect, how beautiful is that? It's this collaborative, collective, coming out from deep within to this beautiful flower. I mean, isn't that really what happens through entrepreneurship or staying on the planet a few years? You start to really come into your own and then expand. So I'm very excited. It's been on my calendar for a while.
It has.
You got things going on, girl. You're like, you want to be on this show? You wait in line.
Well, I appreciate you waiting. No, I'm really honored to have you here and for you to be able to share all the things that you're doing and how you've kind of come into this space, because you really are empowering people across the globe for the things that you are doing. And I've had the chance of meeting some of the amazing women that you've been working with and what you've done for them as well. So please do us all a favor then. You tell everybody what it is that you do and give us a little bit of a backstory.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question. I would say that I'm a pretty dedicated entrepreneur. I'm heading into my third decade of playing this world of, passion, playing this world of passion. I live in beautiful Vancouver, Canada. If anyone's been here, you know how beautiful it is. And if not, come and say hello. I went from the music industry into holistic health. And then I had a very considerable, some people call it a message, some call it a download, some call it a non-negotiable. It felt like a non-negotiable. And I woke up one day and was told to start a media company. And so many, many years ago, I did that. It was interesting because people weren't really in media. This was before social media really kicked. And I started to see that my next mission, my next phase in life was about sustainability and empowerment through helping people that were self-funding predominantly. I do some corporate stuff, but predominantly self-funding people that had confusion or didn't understand around marketing and media. And that learning how to market in media, your passion and your projects, your nonprofits, things like that are really important because it keeps you sustainable. And so what, I believe and what we've always believed is to help people stand up, speak up, and show up. That we do that through helping them become sustainable in their businesses. Then if they're sustainable, that is actually a form of empowerment, because then you get choice. And I'll just say for myself, there's definitely been times in my life where I could not make the choice that I wanted to because I didn't have the resources. And so if we help people have sustainable businesses, projects, passions, missions, whatever it is, then not only do you get to make a better decision for that mission, therefore it's a better decision for you and your community of your family. And that's a really big one, right? It's difficult to move over into your passion if you're worried about your paycheck. It's different to move over into a decision you need to make when you feel like it's going to cost you. And so entrepreneurship, people call it a journey. I'm like, it's not a journey. A journey is from one pub to another in Ireland to get a nice cold Guinness. This is a stretch. This is going to stretch you in ways, right? It's going to stretch your
Yeah.
mind. It's going to stretch your dollar. It's going to stretch your philosophy. It's going to test you at times. It's going to bring you joy that you've never seen before at times. But we want to be able to be behind the curtain for somebody and be their backbone from that marketing and media place that can be so daunting. So I don't
Hmm.
know. That's what we do. That's what we do. That's what
Oh my
I
gosh.
do.
In a nutshell, and you guys, you don't understand like what that means in all the little pieces and components of everything that Deb has going on. And you talked about your passion, right? And I think that a
Mm.
lot of us have a passion, but what we're trying to do is decide like, is that passion something that like I just want to full blown be into? Is it something I kind of like am okay with doing on the side? What does that mean, right? You talked about what it looks like financially and being able to not necessarily be able to make that choice. Can you give everybody a little bit of backstory for yourself? What did that feel like when you were kind of stuck in those spaces and trying to figure out how to make those decisions when you knew that you felt like this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, it's interesting because I was one of those people that I was, I was doing music and I love music. And if you know anything about me, hang out with me for 5 minutes, you're going to know that I need to go to a 12-step program for music because if I'm ever late for a meeting, it's because I'm listening to a song. Right now, I'm really addicted to a song, right? And so I think for me, I have come to trust the knowingness.
Mm,
Now, look at when I first ventured into entrepreneurship, I was actually on my way to go get into, I was in the music and I had a, night where I got shown very clearly, like it was like a night, a moment for me where I got shown very clearly I needed to change directions. Okay. We've all had our moments, our nights, our mirror moment. For me, it was a mirror moment, whatever it was. We all have 3 minutes before we close our eyes, before we go to bed. And we all have 30 seconds when we wake up. And that's usually when we're talking to ourselves, or the voice is quiet, or the head's quiet enough to hear it. So if you're like, I wish I could, if then it probably is brewing. For me, it was a bit of a jolt. I was on my way to go get a degree in women's studies and religious studies, and I wanted to go help women in third world countries create economic platforms. I was in my 20s. This is what came to me after I took a course and some self-discovery and some personal development work that I wanted to do. Well, guess what? The class canceled. I was on my way back from Montreal. So I'm in Canada. If anyone knows Montreal, I live in Vancouver. I was flying back from Montreal to Vancouver to take this course at university, the religious studies course, and this course that was a 4-year course. So when I came back, the course had been canceled. And the religious studies course was canceled because there wasn't enough people that registered. Ironically, after years of trying to get pregnant, I had what we call a wanted surprise. So I was pregnant, couldn't do a 4-year course. The other course, I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Now, I could give you the beautiful story because there is one of serendipity and all the things. But I was pregnant and I wanted, sorry, Kat. I wanted a muffin. I wanted a muffin. There was only one muffin shop in our city that did sugar-free and gluten-free because I had been gluten-free since my 20s. So there wasn't a whole lot. 45-minute drive to the muffin shop. Oh yeah, pregnant. Let's go get it. As I was leaving the muffin shop, there was a pink neon flyer. Now you got to think this was before the day of social. So there was a flyer, someone advertising something. I just grabbed the flyer because it had the word massage on it. So I read that flyer. It was about a massage class. I called the woman, oh, you're pregnant. I've never taught anybody. Anyways, that flyer turned into my second day class of learning massage, where I grabbed a piece of paper and scratched out my first business plan. That business plan said, if I do this many massages, this many times a day, this many days a week, I could pay for the family before the baby comes. That's it. That was it. First business plan.
wow.
And I ended up being in holistic healthcare for 27 years and building 7 international companies. So it is really hard for me to say when that moment happened, but what I think is when it happens, when the inspiration happens, is to not deny it. So
Mm,
for some reason, I didn't deny it. I let it come to surface and I explored it. So explore it. Now it's a whole different ballgame. There's a lot of people that are willing to like pick up the phone. I was just with a client and we were doing some top performance work, right? They wanted to top perform out something in their business. And part of their homework was to grab a journal and to write out all the reasons why they think they weren't doing this thing that they wanted to do, but they keep putting it
Ooh.
aside. So sometimes you have to go deep under the surface as, why do I go to bed every night and go, man, I wish I could own a bakery? And it's 3 years later. You know what I mean? Like, what is that
Mhm.
about? And then just write and then make that decision. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to maybe do it this little bit or this little bit. I had a client once say to me, I want to get a degree, but it's going to take me 5 years. And I'm like, well, how old are you going to be? They're like, something like 48. I go, well, here's the news. You're going to be 48 in 5 years anyway. They were like, oh my
Very
gosh,
true.
you're so hardcore. People will call me Janice Joplin. I'm like, you're going to be 48 in 5 years anyway. So do you want the
Yeah.
degree or not the degree? It doesn't really matter, so I don't know if that helps. Maybe someone needed to hear that. I haven't thought about that for a very long time, but hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, no, I think that's an amazing answer. And I love that you gave yourself permission to think on that and decide to act on it because I feel the exact same way. I know when I first got into this space, originally it wasn't even my idea. I was helping people in the real estate industry and my husband was like, "Why don't you just start your own company?" And I was like, "What does that even mean?" Like I had zero clue
Mhm.
whatsoever. But what I thought was really beautiful about it, and I'm sure that you can attest to this and think and talk on this as well, is I started out in one arena, which really helped me start to understand the things that I enjoyed and didn't enjoy, which then kind of led to pivoting and shifting, which then brought more opportunities. And I think that that's the bigger part is understanding that whatever passion that you have now doesn't necessarily mean, and for some people it is, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stay in that one specific lane. But by allowing yourself to see it, to feel it, to dream about it, and then go for it, you allow yourself the space to open up all of these other opportunities that have been waiting for you. So maybe that one space was the stepping stone that you were looking for, but you kept pushing it off and kept pushing it off and doing what was easier or more comfortable or known because you understood the outcome. And I think that's the most important thing for people to understand is you have to start somewhere. And like you said, you're always going to continue getting a year older. I don't ever want to be in a space where when I get to a certain age, I regret that I didn't take the opportunity, that I didn't just try it to see what would happen.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's like not trying a new kind of food or something, but I think that if it's a calling, it won't stop knocking. Like if it's a
Mm,
calling, it won't stop showing up for you, right? The book will fall off the shelf, the person beside you on the bus, the air, like who you're seated beside on the airplane. I take a lot of trips for business and I'm like, I wonder who the universe is going to put beside me today. Like I really start to anticipate that or asking the question, I remember, I had a large sales team at once and we were traveling around the world and I had everyone in the morning go, whose 2 lives am I going to change today? And then
ooh,
let's see who shows up. So if it's a calling, then it doesn't tend to go away no matter how much you want it. If it's a wanting, and there's nothing wrong, you don't have to wait for the calling. Like, and let me tell you, the calling doesn't come in like a sealed envelope with like, ink on the back and all that kind of stuff. Could be wedding invitation or something. But a knowingness doesn't go away either. Like
mm-hmm.
there's a knowing I could do something different, or a knowing that there's something to expand on, or those kind of things. And they're worth exploring. There's nothing saying that you have to change anything in the exploration, but it's good to explore it. Take a look at some other people doing the same thing. What inspires you, what motivates you? And we've all done it. We all know that a lot of times it's the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
I had a client yesterday. She's like, I need help. Why? She goes, because I come from corporate. She goes, and in corporate, we do horse cart. And I'm now becoming an entrepreneur and I'm having a really hard time with the hope thing, the pray thing, the buy it before the money comes thing, and a lot of the stuff that you come up against in entrepreneurship, right? So,
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I think that it is a mindset shift. And I think that we can use this even in our personal life as well, right? Where we have to be
mhm.
aware of that horse before the cart and how you're going to set yourself up because we as people are constantly or should be constantly evolving. If you're not, try it out. It's really freaking cool. You learn a lot about yourself.
Yep.
Like you said, going through personal development and things like that. Like I really got to take back who I felt like in some sense I was when I was a lot younger. I just didn't, match the two together and didn't know that that was capable. And I think that that's what kind of keeps me pushing as I'm like, okay, what do I want to learn next? What do I want to understand more? So I want people to like understand that while you may not necessarily decide that going into business is great for you, maybe you like what it is that you do, just be aware that you can make those steps and you can go forward even if you don't see all the way down the road, right?
Well, and here's the thing. I have some clients that work for companies and they're at a place where they're like, I'm not functioning at my best. I know I'm not. And they don't necessarily need to step out. Now, I know that we both hang out in the circle of entrepreneurship, and they're building 3 divisions, but they're like, I always say that you need to make a change when you know that you're not acting at the best version of yourself. I don't care what area that is, whether it's parenting, partnering, working, relationship, whatever it is. I'm not at my optimum in that. And so I've had people contact me that are working for someone else going, I'm not doing my best. I'm not showing up my best. And we have a conversation about what is best. How can you shift that? Because I think that, like you said, it is the version of yourself that you bring forward. And so whether it's entrepreneurship or not, again, I don't know, this is for someone out that's listening to this, bringing the best of yourself to your day. And if you are, because that's always a really great play. Someone's like, I don't know if I need to leave. I'm like, well, let's bring the best of who you are to what you're doing right now and see if it feels more emotionally satisfying. Let's get you yielding. Let's get you that promotion. Let's get you that thing that you think is going to flip it. And then let's check in on the emotional barometer. Because if you get the raise, if you get the this, if you're producing more, if you're selling 10 instead of, 8, if you're doing that and it still doesn't feel, then we know it's not external. We know that it's an internal message that just goes, something needs to change.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So if someone, let's say, is in this space of like, I feel like I'm not doing my best, I don't really know what that means. And to be completely honest, I don't even know how I would start to understand that process. Are there any tips that you could give someone that is like on that fence of teeter-tottering just to kind of get them to dip their toe in, right? To try something out or see where their brain is going?
Yeah. So if someone's like, I'm not feeling like I'm doing my best, then I would say, well, let's explore what your best looks like. And not normally, I'll say usually they'll say, I used to be more enthusiastic. I used to hit these sales numbers. I used to stay later. I used to. I don't feel like I want to do that anymore. So maybe I need to move. Maybe this thing's calling me over here. Maybe. And I'm like, you're right. Maybe. Let's explore that. So what does feel best? Even an entrepreneur, they're like, it's not working. I'm like, what's not working? What number are we looking at? What result are we looking at? What do you want to feel and what do you want to have? Oh my gosh, I just did a presentation on this. So like this morning. So it's good. What do you want to feel? Like, what do you want to feel? Right? And what do you want to have in your business? So what do you want to feel? What do you want to have when you go to work? It's the same thing. And what are those things that used to make you feel like that? Are those the same things that are going to make you feel like that now? Is it you? Is it external? Right? Like you might want to, you might have had a really successful business 3 years ago when the world was in a different culture. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like you could have, invest in Zoom now and see what you pay for a stock versus the first year that the world was in a health crisis. It's very different. You're going to make a different yield, right? So these are the things that we examine. And then something starts to happen on the inside. People tend to start to get a lot happier because you start to get solution based. I call it the inspector gadget, right? And so we start trying different things and trying on that jacket. And those are last year's, so those are the jackets of the future that we want. And then you'll be able to answer fairly quickly if what you're doing is working, if what you're doing is satisfying, if what you're doing is going to take you where you want to go. Let's shift. Oh my gosh, I just needed a resurgence of enthusiasm. I just needed, like, I just fell off a bit. I just went down this road. I need to get my business back on track here. And these are the things that I used to do before. Now I want to do them and exceed them. And so then it's like, I'm always saying that, and this is interesting because when I talk to entrepreneurs, I'm like, I know 95% of you didn't have a business plan and you still don't. I'm like, I go, usually when I first talk to people, I'm like, we're going to do a business plan. It's going to take about 35 minutes. And they're like, oh, 35 minutes. I'm like, yeah, we're going to do like a top performance fast version of it because we need some actuals to bounce off of. Right. But when people start to see, one, how far they've come, two, things that they've tried that didn't work, that they can just shift and now make work. Like when all that stuff comes into play, the hope meter goes up. And the hope meter is really important, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we were having a conversation pre-show and you're rocking your world right now. Like you've got people that are calling you because they saw this, and like these are things that are actualizing, right? Those things that are actualizing bring more what? More joy and more hope for the future. And hope is a powerful elixir. It means that you're seeing progress, or that you have the belief that progress or success is on its way. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, 100%. I love that you use the word hope too,
Yeah.
because I think that sometimes we just associate with happiness or joy, and I really do think it's that feeling of knowing that, oh, this is actually coming to fruition, or I can now see the possibilities, even if all the
Mhm.
possibilities aren't laid out on the table and waving a big flag that says, "Here I am, come get me." It is that feeling of knowing that the work that you're putting in, or maybe that little nudge that you did here that you took,
Yeah.
is now starting to become more than just that little speck. It's starting to also actually blossom into something. And I love that you use hope, because I don't think that people use that enough when they talk about what they're going through or what they're trying to get through. We use strength, right? Or we toughed it out. We use, well, I was brave. No, there's a lot of hope that is involved in that as well. So thank you for using that term. That's
Yeah. You know what I'm going to say? Hope gets a bad rap because people like, oh, you hope it happens, or you're going to hope. Well, you can't hope it happen. You know what? Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. You can hope something's going to happen and then do the activity to support the hope, right? So, you're
hmm
not going to sit here and eat bonbons, or I don't know, do whatever you do on your phone or whatever it is, and hope that the next gig comes in, or that someone goes and reads the book, or someone's like, hey, I'd like a TV show today. Just, I'm just going to sit here at my computer and hope that's going to happen. That's ridiculous. But that's the gig that sometimes people give hope. You just can't hope things into manifestation. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Where does it birth? Like when I was, you know, when I had that moment that told me that I needed to shift from the music industry, it was quite considerable. It was kind of a non-negotiable. And I woke up the next day and I was like, even if it's, well, I hope this works. You know what I mean? Like I'm leaving my job today. Like I officially woke up with no job to go to. And I left where I was. They're like, what are you going to do? I'm like, oh no. They're like, no, seriously, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. But there had to be, I had hope that this experience that I had the night before, where I got this clear message, was going to show up, and please quickly, but I took activity because I had that hope. I mean, what else forces activity? What else evokes activity other than hope, possibility, dreams coming true? And we all talk about it. My gosh, it's, almost over inundated in the world of social. I see one more picture of a palm tree and you can be so it's right. Like, no, just underneath put work necessary. And then it's a good picture, right? Like,
hmm
requirement, work, but I think that's where hope gets a bad rap. But where else do we blossom from?
Yeah. Yeah. And I love this too, because, when we think of the term hope, you add that there is an action to it. And I think
Mhm.
that's where a lot of people get stuck. Even I, in the beginning, I know that I got stuck when I kind of dove into the world of dreaming bigger and thinking what you could do. There's a lot of misconceptions or not fully informed information that let you know what goes along with it. And so while dreaming about stuff and wanting it is one thing, it's also being aware of those tiny little moments that like maybe someone that passed you said something and you felt like you needed to continue the conversation, but you didn't. It's those little things that I think really make a difference, is it's like the universe is like dropping the seed to see if you notice it and pick it up. But sometimes it's very, very small. And it takes us being able to be aware of those small little things and then taking the action just to see, not having any expectation behind it. Like, okay, if I do this and I expect, or this is what I think is going to go down. And I've had to really work on that one, right? Of like, okay, this person reached out, I had the conversation, I know what I want to do to make sure we stay in contact, but I let go of what I used to do, which was kind of like futurize, if that's even a word. I'd be like, okay, this is going to happen, and then they're going to go reach out, and when they do, I know that I'm going to do this, and you kind of start to plan it. But what happens is you take away the opportunity to let things flow in the direction that they're supposed to work best because you're so focused on the way you want it to work or you think that it's supposed to. You almost kind of shut off the opportunity to see it work in a completely different arena.
I think so, touche. And I think that what you're talking about comes from a place of wisdom. I think it comes from someone who's been able to tap into skill and intuition. That when you are talking to someone or working with someone, that you have an agenda maybe for your business, you have an agenda for your message, you want to reach this many people, you want to save this many people, you want to share, and you know what that is, probably intuitively or a little bit or paper or somewhere, you know that. And then being able to, when you meet people, know how that's going to go. Like some people or some jobs or some projects, it happens, the transaction happens like in 30 seconds. And then sometimes there's a process. And I think it's a beautiful elixir of understanding oneself and then understanding them and where will this go and how can this go? I mean, I think that's when you say that, that's what comes to me is that you've been able to tune yourself in a bit.
Yeah, that's definitely taken a long time to tune in, especially when
Yes.
you're someone that has been through some of the things that I have, where you've learned not to trust yourself, or because of the beliefs that we've been not forced, but that we grew up with that
Yeah.
kind of impede on that trust within ourselves. So when we talk about, trusting ourselves and feeling that inspiration, what does those two words mean to you if you were to help someone understand trust and intuition?
Trust and intuition. Well, I think that, oh my goodness. You're talking to I mean, I could go in so many different directions with both of those. One, because I am intuitive by nature. So by grace, I have had a sense of, or again, much like yourself, I have some similar things in my history that made me very sensitive to my environment, very hypersensitive to my
Mm-hmm.
environment and conscious of that. So what I chose to do was a lot of personal development that made me conscious of myself. Like I am self-aware, self-observant. I would say to anyone in relationship to trusting that the best work to do is one of trusting oneself, knowing oneself as best you can at that time, at that stage in your life. And so being able to tap into your intuition. I always say, look for the magic. So sometimes people are like, I don't know what intuition is. I don't know what it feels like. That's why the little message before you go to bed at night and the little message when you wake up in the morning are conversations to have. I cannot tell you how many times I have shared with people, like I get messages mostly in the morning while I'm having my shower, I'm putting my, makeup on, getting ready for the day. And people nod their head like you do now. I think there's something very morning-like, at least for me, where I hear a little more before I'm diving in. And I test it, and I can, even if you want to test your intuition, just do things like listen to the I feel, or for me, I do it with music, right? It's like, ooh, well, that popped up. I think I feel like I want to listen to that. Just start the I feel, or I'm drawn more to that conversation. Or when you walk in a room, see who your body wants to go meet. Now, if it's if there's someone that you want to meet that you put on a pedestal or what have you, and you're kind of scared, go do it anyway. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about chickening out. I'm talking about trusting yourself. And if you want to move left and everyone's moving right, like start to just do those kind of things. And in business, it will show up. You will trust. Like, look at, we all have calendar links and sometimes people don't show up. And I have friends of mine that go, I never let them rebook. I go, really? I go, because for me, my perception now, if someone was to cancel, I would be like, I'd have a conversation with that person, but I would be like, for me, one of my first thoughts is, whoo, the universe wants me to do something else. Like there's someone else I need to talk to. So I think it's the perspective of how you see things and how they unroll in your life. As long as it feels good to you, right? Like it's not, someone cancels you on you 4 times. You're like, you need to put up a boundary and go, the first time was fine. You had a reason. The second time, well, okay, So I think it's those things about trusting yourself, being intuitive with yourself, learning yourself, being honest with yourself, like being honest with yourself. That's a really big part of trust. So it's kind of like for me, because I'm in a business that's expanding and I choose to expand my business, I choose to bring on new things. I choose to bring on a division. We just went from a staff of 4 to a staff of 12 in a very short period of time. Wow. But I take responsibility that, it got presented. I felt like the universe was like, okay, now you're going to do this. I said yes, I said yes. So I think that if that answers your question at all, just really people needing to start to trust. And when you start to trust yourself, your intuition heightens, because I think your nervous system slows down and starts to realize that you're not going to put yourself in situations that aren't good for yourself, where sometimes we've overrode those decisions before. We've stayed at jobs that didn't serve us. We had people in our life that weren't kind to us. We had, we stayed in a class where a teacher was kind of mean. We had someone in our life that every time we talked to them, we came up and we felt drained. Like we had those situations. So our nervous system was also aligned and heightened to that. And the more that you start to trust oneself, means that your nervous system can relax and I think talk a little louder to you, because you are trusting yourself, because it's your nervous system, it's your decision, it's your choices, right? And those of us that have come from funky places or have been treated unkind, or a generation where you should be seen and not heard, or blah 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 blah, it's difficult to start to trust oneself and at the same time reach higher, because you're relearning and realigning and rewiring neuronally, but also this beautiful system that tells you fight or flight. So when you are walking in that room and you want to go talk to that person that's on a pedestal, your nervous system might be saying, no, no, no. Is it fear? Is it sabotage? Or is it your intuition? And so sometimes I'll just bypass. I'll be like, okay, you're just kind of freaked out over here, so we'll put you over there, and talk yourself through the next stage. Yeah. I know that might sound confusing. I'm hoping it sounds relieving to someone to know that you can always work on it. And I think the braver we get, we have to work through that phase of relearning, realigning. And every level I've gone to in my business, and you've watched us push. I mean, we've pushed quite a bit in the last time since we've talked. I've had to have those conversations with myself every time I've moved to a different level. I'm like, okay, you're choosing to be uncomfortable. You're choosing it. You could stay here, but if you choose to be uncomfortable, now you have to trust yourself in a whole different way.
Yeah. Oh, so beautifully said. Like, I don't even want to add anything to it, Deb, but I do have a question.
I feel like I'm just yakking off here. So
no, because you know what? I think that people are going to get out of it what they feel like they are called to hear. And I think that we are definitely in a space, especially after COVID, where people are looking for how do I trust myself? I know that I should, but I don't understand it. What do these words mean that everybody keeps saying? What does it mean to be joyful? What does it mean to have hope? Because we have gotten those definitions really tangled up
Mhm.
in what they actually do mean. And like you said, they kind of get a bad rap for some of them. And you have to be able to shift your perspective to know how you want to move forward. And maybe for you, like you said, that does mean you're going left instead of right with everyone else. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. It means that you chose a different path. And that's amazing to know that you chose to trust yourself enough to take that step. So, no, I appreciate this. I think this is beautiful. So, I have a question for you then. What is inspiring you today in the things that you are doing in this world?
Oh, oh,
Oh,
oh. Look it, I'm made out of flesh and bone and emotions and tears and fear and bravery and strength like anybody else. Sometimes when people, they're like, oh, I Googled you. I'm like, oh, okay. Now there's some really great stuff out there, but it shows they're like, when do you, I go, I know the question coming up, when do you have time to, right? And I have time because I'm inspired and fueled, and I also know how to, to work with my time. But um, what inspires me, it's really interesting. It's kind of like I do big things, and it's the small things that inspire me. So it
mm,
literally, I remember we just did this project, right? 262 women in a book. I'm not going to say it wasn't exhausting. It was exhausting. I mean, we've had up to we had 440 speakers and 262 women in a book in like less than 15 months. Come on. It was daunting. And there was this little yellow sticky, like those notes. And
hmm
some woman had sent me a book. One of the authors sent me a book so I could show her book on screen, and that was cool. And all it said, thank you for doing what you're doing for us women. And I'm telling you, I stuck that sticky on my kitchen, because I'm in my kitchen a lot. And to the point where the glue was coming off and it was falling on the ground, and I'd stick it back up. And I literally looked at it for a year. I would just walk by it as a reminder of what I was doing. I have a picture of Gloria Steinem on my wall because I have great respect for the work that she's done, because she's opened doors to elevate, because this particular project happens to be women based. So I think that I keep the cause at heart, which alleviates some of the stretch that's required for the achievement. Now, the other thing is that I'm able to see it with my children, my son particularly. So, started his business at 15, here he is at 19, and then at 21. And people say to him, well, you're really lucky to have your mom. And I say to them, he's lucky whether I was smart in business or not. That just happened to be a bonus. And so
mm,
I watch some of the words come out of my son, and I watch and see how he acts. Like, we were at a trade show. And look, at this show wasn't great. The organizers didn't do their job, but I'm writing a book on trade shows, so I'm teaching our team and whatever. And my son's totally getting it, and people are complaining, and my son's not complaining. I said, there's one person, talk to them. We're doing a little thing. And at the end of the show, but a half an hour before the show, I said, did you see that other artist? Because he's an artist. I said, did you see that other artist? He's like 4 rows down. And I said, his art is exceptional. He goes, Mom, I don't think he sold anything today. And I'm like, I don't think he has either, just because he sits behind and he was drawing, and he obviously didn't have the
hmm
postures. No one had taught him the posture yet, but his art was really good. He goes, can I go buy a piece? And I go buy two. And for him to be able to recognize and want to go help another artist. And then he ended up doing a collaboration with him. Now, Ocean knew that he had way more social proof, I guess, if you want to say it, and that this kid tapping in was going to rise, because Ocean had rose to that level.
hmm
And that's why I do what I do. And I don't know if I can explain that any differently, other than the results in my family from some of the things that I do, and then that external. And then in all honesty, true to true, I believe that I'm a creative more than I'm a business person, because it actually comes out. Sometimes my brain will, just come up with these incredible ideas or ways to do what we're doing better. And it is a natural state for me to be evolving in creativity. I just happen to choose women's empowerment in this project as the canvas that a painter would continue painting on. And so it is a natural state for me, so in all honesty.
Oh, I love that. And it's so beautiful that you are creating inspiration, courage, and someone with a very open heart and open mind at a young age to be able to see this. And I think that that's one of the beauties of this, and with like the women empowerment in this book that you did, is not only are you showing people how to rise and helping them understand how to build on their own, you're also teaching people how to be open and receptive to other people that are in that space as well. That realizing that we actually have the opportunity to rise together, not separately. It's not competition. There is a wholeness that is there. And when you step into that space, not only does it fill your heart with joy and encouragement and just, I don't know, how this euphoric feeling of knowing that you're going somewhere and someone else is going somewhere, but it also helps shift that perspective of realizing that there are opportunities everywhere. I'm sure that when your son went and talked to this guy, he wasn't like, okay, I'm going to go talk to him and then we're going to do something together. That was something that came out of it because he was in a space of receiving and wanting to build other people up. He created that. And I know that you have created mountains of collaborations and support systems and women that probably never would have been in front of each other or met each other or even thought to connect because of what you have built. So it's a beautiful testament to stepping into your power, to being in this space. And I think it's a wonderful testament that I hope others are hearing, which is we don't have to do it alone. We don't have to fight each other. There is no competition. When we rise and we rise with others, they rise as well. And that in itself is creating a space of collectiveness that this world desperately needs.
Oh, I agree. And I think that particularly in this project, when you talk about women helping women, it's when you look at it historically. So historically, the fight was internal. And then it was about having some rights. And then it's all very different in different countries and what have you. But there was a very big rise, particularly in North America, that I call the pantsuit era, where you were given, you were allowed to play, but you had to play like our gender counterpart. And
Mhm.
so you had to adapt that. And I call it the pantsuit era. I mean, I love pantsuits, don't get me wrong. But they look great, Diane Keaton, you look awesome. But then there was like having to own your own, and you had to play that. And so then it's been coming out of that pantsuit era, which we have done for a while. I mean, I've watched this evolution. I've been around a little bit, and we are very much collaborating and seeing the result of that collaboration, because like you said, it's interesting. Now, I'm not saying go into a room and give your, next year's marketing ideas away to everyone in the room, but it is about helping this other artist, helping someone that does exactly what you do. Both have shows. Let's rise each other's shows together. Like that the idea around competition has certainly fallen away into appropriate. Maybe I mean, you made up a word today. Can I make up appropriation where it's appropriate, right? Where we are coming together. And then when you say that doors unfold, first of all, it's really interesting because when you look at people that have become very successful in life, they get to a stage where they become philanthropic, right? So they start giving away their information, giving away their books, giving away their money, giving their way, because they want to be good humans in the world, because they have this desire inside. And I think the desire inside to gift what we have to make people's lives is steadfast, probably from the time that we're like, hey, I'll help you, I'll help you in your paper route. Like we by nature have that. And so what I think we've learned is that we don't have to be at the stage where we have enough to be able to give, that on the process to you being successful, you can gift to your sister, your brother, who, whatever. And somehow it does open up things that are very unforeseen.
Mhm.
Like there is a reward to that if you want to put it in those terms, that you do grow bigger, you don't have to wait, and that experience of being able to be in that place. So it's a very easy thing. We talked about hope. That's probably more joy, where you get to what, people like, how do you get up and do what you do every day? I don't know. How do you get up and do what you do every day? Your conversations with people are quite incredible. Like that is a very emotionally charged topic that you go and save the world around. So how do you do that every day? You have to have, it has to be reciprocal. You have to see hope in action. You have to, like those kind of things. It would be very difficult for people to continue not. And I think that's what people are tapping into. The more I help people, I'm helping myself as well, because it's a very much of a collaborative experience. So we're not waiting anymore.
Yeah.
We're not doing our thing, having success, and then, sharing it with the world. We're sharing with it as we fumble through our way to this successful place.
I love that you said fumble, because it's definitely that is definitely the journey, everyone. Just FYI. There's a fumble that goes with it. So Deb, tell everybody then, how can they connect with you? How can they be with the Royal? How can they see all of these amazing things that you are doing and be a part of it?
Well, you know what? We just went and did something really great. We just revamped the website, and I don't tend to send people to the website, but there's certain things on the website that are really cool. So if you like the idea of having success in your business, well, there's a whole top performance page. And there's a top performance class that people can pop into by donation that helps us allow the summits to stay free for women around the world. And this is for women and those that support women. So all of our work is for everyone, even though we've been talking a lot about women. So there's the top performance page. If someone wants to do what we're doing today, they want to share, they have a message, they have a passage, they have a mission, they have something that they want to share either on stage or in a book or on our new TV show, the world's opening up, then they, there's a 262 page, there's a speaker page. But what I tell people is if you go down to most pages, it's going to say contact me. Just click. It actually goes to me and bypasses my team, which is really great. I like to have that experience with people, and then book in a time to see me or meet with me, and we can explore together what it is that you're looking for. So I will say, because we did talk about, I do own a media company, and the one thing that I am trying to really share with entrepreneurs, we have I call it almost free. I think it's $27. 2 things that are messing and tripping people up. If you don't know your media score and you don't know how to media stack, and you're out there in the world trying to get your message or build a business, please come learn what those 2 things are, because that will alleviate a lot of this whole new world of digital of how to experience and take your world and your message to market so that it yields. Because I see a lot of people popcorning, and I get a lot of calls like, I've been on 40 podcasts or this, and they're not getting results, and people don't know those 2 things. So that's kind of a gifted class where people can start if they're looking to yield, right? Like looking to yield and have success. So those are some of the things, but that's the everything. And you can just reach me there.
I love that. Thank you so much, Deb. And of course, we'll have all the information in the show notes. We'll make it super easy for you guys to click and be able to get in touch with her, purchase the book and everything that Deb has going on. If you are looking for this space to be in, if you're looking to rise, if you're looking for someone that is an expert in that area that really can help you and has a passion for doing that, please reach out to Deb. I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast and sharing all of your knowledge.
Oh, absolutely. It's such an honor to be here. And I enjoy hanging out with you. And look, I want to say this is what happens. So, when people, I want you to change, like, I have to do this or I have to do that, you get to. And what happens when you do some of your work? I did some of my personal development work, my childhood stuff, my business stuff. And then I get to meet people like Kat, who's done that same kind of work. And we get to grow together. That truly is one of the blessings, is that you will meet people on what people call your journey. I call it a stretch, that you're like, wow, it is so nice to be able to see your own personal involvement, because if not, we wouldn't be hanging out. Like, you get to a really great place in your life where you're starting to hang out with people that have achieved and moved and gone through the same stuff that you've gone through. So it's just as honorable to be here on whatever end it is. But it's a good sign of your growth when you're hanging out with people that can shine back to you. So yeah.
100%. Oh, thank you so much, Deb. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast, everybody else. I know that you guys were taking notes with some amazing takeaways from Deb. And I encourage you to write the word hope down and think about how you define that, because I think that she said it just very beautifully earlier on how we can shift the perspective. And that really does allow you to be in a space of starting to see what the possibilities are, which then opens up the space for things to be absolutely endless for everything that you are wanting and dreaming of. So be sure to take notes on that. Go follow Deb. Get her amazing book, The 262 Women, that are in there as well. There's a beautiful collaboration with so much. And don't forget, until next time, do one thing positive for someone each and every day and see the difference that it makes in your life. Catch you later. Thank you so much for tuning in to Real Chat with Kat today, where real stories meet real solutions. If If you love today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review on Apple, and share this with someone who may also need to hear this as well. Let's also keep the conversation going. Follow me on socials at The Lotus Effect, connect with our incredible guests, and remember, you are never alone. Your story matters, and you have the ability and the power to rewrite it. You always have a choice. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep showing up as the incredible, unstoppable